Well, a change of scenery on DK and Gray, and what a view it is. Coming to you from the balcony of the Michael Long Learning and Leadership Centre, which is due to open next week. Gray, it's a magnificent structure and the view behind us is absolutely sensational.
Just like being at the Taj Mahal in India. Magnificent, and it's something that this Michael Long Centre that's well overdue. So terrific, and it opens next week.
It does, and there's a public open evening next Thursday, so the details on your screen now. Make sure that you come down and check out this brand new facility. A good opportunity for you to have a look at the future of Territory footy. And speaking of the future, a new chapter will be written this weekend in the preliminary finals, Graham. We will find out who will take on St Mary's in next week's TIO NTFL Grand Final. Southern Districts are taking on Wanderers, cutthroat prelim finals. It's always a great weekend of footy, isn't it?
Yes, the preliminary final, some people say, is probably the best game of the year, and that includes the actual grand final. So maybe we'll have the same thing again, but I know the Districts going for the first grand final appearance since 2007 and Wanderers last year, 2014.
It should be a cracking game. Districts coming off a terrible loss last week, really. They were absolutely, totally outclassed in the end, and all the Jason Eagle controversy during the week, it sort of didn't play in their favour, but Saints really responded well. Wanderers, they came through a very solid hit out against Nightcliff as well. It's a hard game to judge, isn't it?
It is. One thing's for sure, you'll see a different district side out there this weekend for sure. They've got some very handy inclusions, and Wanderers on that roll. Momentum that we spoke about last week, David, they're certainly on that. They're looking forward to another grand final. One thing for sure, it all adds up to a bumper crowd. Yeah,
it does. And just going back to the teams, Wanderers without Brad Vassell, I feel like he's a massive out for them.
He is an out, but they get Aaron Motlop back too, so that might sort of balance things out a little bit there. And of course, the other loss I think they're going to feel even more so is Big Holmer, Jackson Holmer, who's been taking marks up forward and around the ground. So he'll be some type of loss. They'll certainly have to find a substitute for him, but they've still got the likes of Liam Patrick and the other Motlops. And of course, that elusive player we know is Chris Dunn.
And Jackson Holmer, you mentioned before, Gray, hasn't played in a losing Wanderers side, so he's got a pretty good record.
Amazing.
For Districts, Jared Brennan comes back in, huge inclusion as well.
He will. I reckon they'll play him down back too. I reckon that's what he'll be earmarked for, a key defensive role. I don't think we'll see much of him up forward, which leaves a goal kicking then to the likes of Will Farrer. The other boys down there, Troy Taylor, and of course the guy you spoke about, Mr Eagle. Will he kick 5 or 6 and win the game for Districts?
Southern Districts and Wanderers, a big preliminary final coming up on Saturday evening. And then on Sunday evening, great, it's Territory Footy's Night of Nights. Yes. The Nichols Medal, we celebrate the best players in the league, not only in the Premier League, but in all the grades. It's always a cracking night, isn't it?
Yes, and will we see another St Mary's winner, or will we see a dark horse come around the outside, though?
Well, you're the expert, Gray. Who do you reckon is going to win the Nichols Medal?
Well, obviously, all the betting outlets are saying that Cameron Island is going to win the medal and join his older brother as a medal winner. But my money's still on Liam Patrick from Wanderers. I reckon he did enough in the early stages, mid stages, and even late to grab just enough votes. I think it'll be a very low count. I think the winner will probably end up with about 13 or 14 votes. But I reckon it's the year of the Eagles.
And what about a Smoky? Or you mentioned
plenty of them.
Some dark horses off air. Who's your Smoky for the Nichols Medal?
There's plenty of them, Dave, but there's two I like. Christian Paper Talk, who won the best and fairest down at Districts, had a terrific year. He went under the radar for most of the year, but I know the Districts people down there, the coaching staff in particular, are very confident of his chances, and I noticed he's come in from $100 to about 35. So someone's obviously jumped on him down there. And of course, my other outsider is Timmy Eldridge from the Buffaloes. I reckon he was terrific in that first half of the year. May have dropped away a bit towards the end, as the Buffaloes did, but I reckon he might just sneak enough votes to give everyone a big fright.
So, Liam Patrick to win, Smoky's Christian Paper Talk and Tim Eldridge. I'm going to go with Ross Tungatalum to win for me. I think he's had a magnificent season. The Bombers have won enough games, and I agree with you. I think that Christian Paper Talk is a legitimate chance of winning the medal. He's played most of the games this year, and that's something that Southern Districts have is continuity in their side, and they have done all year. I reckon Paper Talk's a very good chance, but we'll have to wait and see until Sunday. Let's digress back to Saturday, Gray, because it is grand final week for the women. And Waratah and Tracy Village will meet each other in the women's grand final this Saturday, and that'll be live on AFL MTV, of course.
Yes, the battle of the ladies, Waratahs and Tracy Village. Waratahs in their 8th grand final, Dave, 8th women's grand final, which is a terrific effort. Of course, Tracy Village are the Minnows. They're in their very first.
What an effort from Tracy Village. They just moved into the comp 3 years ago, and they're already in a grand final. I think that's an amazing achievement, isn't it?
Done very well. They finished last in their first season, made the preliminary final last year when they were beaten by the Buffaloes. They've gone one step better to make the grand final this year. Terrific effort there by the Razorback ladies.
Well, I spoke to both coaches, both of them are confident, Colleen Gwynn and Dennis Lou-Fat. Hopefully it should be a cracking game. Gray, a quick tip on that game for you?
I'll go with experience and class. I think Waratahs will just be a bit too good. Although the last two matches between these sides have been very close. I think Waratahs will be at 15 points.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you there, Gray. I think that Waratah might just take the cake in the women's grand final. But a huge weekend of territory footy once again. Plenty of action on AFL MTV. Under-18s preliminary final, Division 1 preliminary final, and of course the women's grand final. All live on AFL MTV, so make sure you tune in for that. But from us here at the Michael Long Learning and Leadership Centre today, we'll see you next time on DK and Gray.